direction on that too, in terms. Yeah.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
I am May 25 meeting to order for the Norfolk Redevelopment. I'd like to welcome everybody here and just give you a precursor, if you will, start of our meeting this morning. I want to have a presentation by the auditor and also have a fairly robust closed session today. So we make it to the point that somebody wants to ask a question of the auditor. With that, I will ask for approval of minutes from the April 9th Board of Commissioners meeting as well as the April 10th Board of Commissioners meeting.
Just an update, sir. We now have the information that is blank in your packet with regard to the motions and seconds for the April 9th meeting. So the minutes will be revised to reflect that the resolution to go into closed session was entered into pursuant to a motion made by Ms. Chudzinski, seconded by Mr. Lewis. And then the resolution, the motion to adopt the resolution certifying the closed session, we had a motion made by Mr. Fraley, seconded by Mr. Casagrande. So the minutes will so reflect, and if the board could vote with that annotation made, that would be appreciated.
Stated the name, and then I went back and got the actual document I used to send it to Delphine because now I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I second the motion.
Move in a second to approve our previous commissioners meeting. Ms. Collins, will you call the roll?
Yes, sir. Mr. Fraley?
Aye.
Mr. Lewis?
Aye.
Ms. Mayo?
Aye.
Dr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Conyers?
Aye.
Mr. Albert?
Aye. Okay, and now we will entertain any public comments that we might have. Do we have any public comments this morning? Ms. Hughes? Yes.
President, Mr. Raycon White.
The usual suspects, huh? All right, Mr. White?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning.
Fine.
I've got a couple of things I want to address. I have some for the commissioners and some for Ms.
Raytron, you do know, you remember?
I understand.
the 3 minutes.
I understand.
Okay.
That's maybe a rule. Y'all need to probably change it when one person's speaking.
You rather go beyond it anyway, so.
Yeah. I have some couple of things that we want to do. I want to say the TMCs are an NRHA and AC. Well, TMC is an NRHA corporation, and by HUD standard, we have to be in standard. I try to get some things in our community to try to figure some things out because I've called so many people and no one's answered the telephone.
Please, I hate to interrupt.
Okay,
but
can you hear me?
Please, no, I can hear you, but for those that may be new to the effort, when you give an acronym, explain what it is. Like
Okay, it's our
TMCs is.
Our TMCs are Tenant Management Corporation,
Right.
and they are the heart and the soul of the community and NRHA. So I have some documentation that supposed to be done by legal counsel here, my name is Carr. It has not been done in about 3 or 4 years. And I try to get some corporation funds and some status of our neighborhood, and we can't do it because the state corporation license, we've been suspended since 2021. And we was with William & Martin, they did all this for us and we had to pay the fees. So I was very embarrassed to try to get some mental people to come out in our neighborhood to do some things, and we're not even recognized in the state of Virginia as a corporation. And I have some for the CEO and the commissioners. You're gonna pass this down. That's saying that this card name is on it. It has not been filed or paid for since 2021 when I paid for it. And I asked her and asked people, Ms. Kim Thomas, when she worked here, about that. We have to be in good standard, and we're not in good standard at all. So I took upon myself to pay the fees, and now Granny Village, we can do our own state corporation license. And I think that's unfortunate because I looked embarrassing standing from people in Richmond and different people, corporations, and asking for things to help, and we was not recognized. Second of all, I live in Granny Village, and there are some things that we're trying to get for the last couple of months. I've asked some people since January. We have a CEO office out there. I have not, my staff have not been introduced to him. He works for the city of Norfolk. I know him, but to be professional and to be done, to introduce the CEO office when you come in your neighborhood. I can't come to your house without announcing I'm here. We have been asking and we have not. Some things are going on in our community. We just had 2 weeks ago, we just had a mental health person, a young lady that was screaming and hollering. When I woke back up, when I went in the house and I saw, when I woke back up, there were about 10 police cars and the ambulance and the fire department. She had her kids in there. She had to take her kids to take the CPA, and she had to go downtown. No one responded to this young lady to today. Last weekend, I've called some people, maybe call a commissioner, and asked. There was a shooting 2 doors from my house, inside of my house. There was no one for NRHA to ask me, were we okay, whether counseling, anything went on. They did ask to be nosy who was the shooter, but there was no one to ask us. I don't know what's going on. I've called housing, I've called the rental office and asked for different stuff. I have some people that's on your staff has not called me back in 2 months. The only one I can respond to, I hope I can say his name is Corey. He's actually been jewel to us, information to us. We have kids in our neighborhood cannot go into the Boys and Girls Club because of the staff in there. We have teenagers. Our grass has been this high.
Your time is expired, Raytron.
Okay, now I need to see you all, or Mr. Sims, after it's over with, because it's really got outrageous.
All right,
We went to
thank you.
city council and talked about this too.
Thank you. I heard about you at council.
Thank you so much.
Let's get a date.
Okay, cool.
Okay, next we have, yes, you got. Okay, who we have? Okay. These Allen people? Who's our next speaker?
Miss Sierra. Miss Sierra from
Yeah. Yeah, we missed you last month.
I gave y'all a break.
You gave us a break.
Hey, how everybody doing?
Good morning.
Good morning, commissioners and everybody on this board. So my name is Tiara Lassiter. We already know that. And as a former Tidewater Gardens resident, I didn't know if it was appropriate to ask, but I'm gonna ask anyway. So anyways, I was wondering that in regards to Calvert Square, better known as Curb Hall, and Young Terrence, better known as Young's Park, if NRHA can do what you guys did in COVID, which is to halt the evictions in both communities at that time. I'm actually up here to humbly ask for grace on behalf of both of the communities until you guys finish with the transformation process. And the reason being is, given the current tensions and times of this economy, we don't know realistically where our next dollar is coming from or if certain programs would continue to be stable. So I think that during this process and time, it would be nice if we could see affordable apartments being built on the previous Tidewater Gardens land, which is about 26 acres. So to see affordable apartments being built before you guys actually do the process would be great, because it would give people an immediate place to apply for and possibly live. We have to be mindful that at this current time in America, the low-income project housing is indeed our American poverty. So we are talking about impoverished people living in impoverished neighborhoods with limitations as well as many barriers. The same people who are saying and advocating for the low-income communities or the parks to be torn down are also the same people who do not want us to be their neighbor. So please be mindful of the discrimination that we face when we're trying to get into a private market housing. Please be mindful of the money struggles we have making base minimum wage pay, which is $12 an hour. However, we need 18 in order to survive in this economy. Please be aware of all of the troubles and the hardships and the difficulties that we face. We would like to see as many units as you're going to take away being built back for low-income population. having 1 or 2 or 10 spots at one place, 20 spots at another place. We need more housing that can accommodate us, that is new, that is renovated, that is safe, that is dignified, and that is healthy. So asking for grace, asking for a little bit of mercy during this transitional time period, asking for evictions to be halted at this time, asking for understanding that there is a lot of racism and there is a lot of financial class tensions at this time. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Tiara. We received that.
Thank you.
All right. Karen, who do we have next? Okay. We have a full assembly this morning. Morning. How you doing?
How y'all doing?
We're doing good.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Are you aware that the speaking limitation is 3 minutes for each public person?
Yes.
All right, dear.
Good morning, everyone. How y'all doing?
Good morning. Good morning.
What I want to touch bases on is when Tidewater Park was tore down. And there were a lot of people that went homeless. A lot.
That were homeless?
That went homeless, yes.
Okay.
Now, they have tore down Tidewater Park. And because they have tore it down, they haven't put anything there as of yet. Why tear it down if you're not going to build anything up? And then you keep promising that everybody can move back into Tidewater Park. But you have to make it affordable for them to be able to move back. We can't stop you from doing the transition. But it would be smart to build up before you tear down. Putting your ducks in a row, that would be smart. Don't tear down until you build up so they will have somewhere to go. That would be the smart plan. Not just tearing it down and just making a whole bunch of promises. You get people hopes up high. That's why a lot of people do not like to come to these meetings, because it's a whole lot of he said, she said, a whole bunch of untruths, and nobody wants to hear that when you get their hopes up high. I tried to explain to someone yesterday about what was going on. They told me to get out of their face, and they slammed the door in my face. And I thank y'all for y'all time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that it? All right. And let me just say while you're checking, one of the things I committed to last month, I think it was last month, was I wanted to go into our community and just have a listening session with the people in those communities and maybe give them some realities about some of their concerns or interests or questions. And so I have a date. I've been planning that with Monet Johnson. She's been helping me with the New Virginia Majority put it together, and I'm gonna have our communication specialist to also help put the word out. We have a date already of June 14th, day before Father's Day, and I'm gonna be there to hear your concerns, to hear your interests, to give you some honest feedback. A lot of times the board can't respond to you while you voicing your concerns, but we do hear you, and we do take those seriously. And so I want you to have some honest feedback about where we are with a lot of things and not have misinformation. So I'll be out there. One or two of the other commissioners has volunteered to come out also and kind of help us move it along. But I'm gonna do 2 hours in each community. I'm gonna do from 5 to 7 or 6 to 8 on Saturday, the day before Father's Day, and you'll get little flyers in there to tell you exactly what time we start. And whatever's on your mind, on your chest, in your head, bring it out. And we're gonna, as the as the OG say, we're gonna chop it up. So, all right. Okay, so now we have a resolution requesting the approval of Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority 2026 budget. And we reviewed the budget. We did that last month. We've also had the public hearing on it. And now we need your resolve to accept this 2026 budget. And Demetria will present. And you will, won't you?
I will.
Okay.
Good morning, commissioners and
Good morning.
staff.
Good morning.
Last month, I came before you with the public hearing to review the budget, and today I'm asking for your authorization to approve our FY 2026 budget. The 2026 proposed budget encompasses a balanced annual budget of $156 million for the fiscal year. This is a $21 million increase over last year. We used the departments, the business units, and to come up with the budget as a whole. Radu, do you have the slides? Thank you. I continue to talk while he's pulling those up.
You pulling it up?
Add some highlights for the 2026 budget and some assumptions made. For the capital fund project, we assumed that we would receive a $10.4 million award. We assumed that we were going to get a $10.3 million award. And yesterday or day before yesterday, we received notice that we actually received $10.4 million. So our
Awesome.
projections was like
Way to go.
right on spot. Thank you, Steve. And the budget also composes of state and city funding, low income, public housing funding. We have funding, we received a Ross grant, a FSS grant, some funds from Hampton Roads Venture for our client services programs. And as far as, okay, we're up now. Okay. So here is our cycle. This is how we put this flow chart, demonstrates how we actually put our budgets together. I'm not going to go through each one, but it's in your packet if you like to review. The next two slides shows our goals as an agency. In this budget, we concentrated on goal 1, which was the financial planning and organizational restructuring. That's incorporated in the budget. The development repositioning is incorporated in the budget as goal number 2. Goal number 4, to ensure availability and efficient use of our resources. Goal number 6, to enhance our asset management. And goal number 11, which is our resident empowerment programs. All of these are tied into our projections for our FY 2026 budget. And once again, some other highlights of the budget is the repositioning of the sites. We're expected to do a RAD closing in November of 2025. And our yard implementation of July of 2025.
Do we have RFPs out on the sites rehab?
Steve,
So it was already awarded.
Okay.
thank you. Next slide, right there. Can you just go to the next one? Thank you. This slide here represents the amount of funding that we're getting as far as for our FY 26 budget. We're getting $106 million in HUD sources $20 million in state and city funding, and $29 million in other funding, which consists of tenant rents, Hampton Roads Ventures, and also our replacement reserves, which gives us a total of $156.6 million. So totals, 68% of those is HUD funded, 13% is the state, and 19% is the other. As far as uses, we have 82% of our funding going toward programs and 18% going toward administration.
I have a
Okay.
quick question, if I may, and I'm going to try to frame it in a way so as it to not come out in any sort political. It has nothing to do with that. It's simply a matter of certainty vice uncertainty. For all, part, or none of our HUD, you see, I think you said 68% from HUD, is any of that money at risk of being pulled back potentially?
Not at this time.
So it's like we have, I like just the way, the things have been going, and with the federal government, there's been a lot of changes made and the executive orders signed that have changed things that in the past have been, believed to be a certainty. And I just wanted to know what sort of, are there binding contracts? Are there, and, we don't have to get into the weeds right now. I just want to make sure I understand fully as far as our HUD funding is concerned. Could there be a potential that it could be pulled back? And once again, don't need the answer as we stand here today, but if that's something that you guys could take a look at, because that has been a concern of mine, and particularly when I heard the ratio of that dollar amount being so high, I just want to be able to put my head down at night knowing that regardless of what happens, that the HUD money is a certainty, or X percent could be pulled, but just I think I've said my piece and everyone got it. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
All right.
Are you, I'm on, before you do, Will, one of the things I'm gonna do when Dimitri concludes is ask Dr. Smith if there was anything he'd like to add. That's not to stop your question, but he may can give perspective to some things you might have. Go ahead.
I just wanted a little clarity on what exactly constitutes replacement reserves. Is that coming from our cash reserves? And
The replacement reserves comes from our privately managed communities. Oh, and then one last thing is that in the public hearing, it was asked that what was the difference between 2025 budget and 2026 budget. I had a slide, but okay, I'll just go ahead and go through it. The difference is 26%. There's a 26% increase in sources and a 26% in uses. And FY25, versus FY26, the gain in those resources is, one, we received the Ross grant in 2026 that we did not have in 2025. We also received the FSS grant in 2026 that we did not receive in 2025. And then we are increasing our capital fund use in 2026 due to the renovations of sites. As far as the state and city funding, there is an increase due to we're getting the $5.5 million bond, $15.5 million bond for sites as well. And we had a 21% decrease in admin expenses, and that was due to our overall of the agency, and that 21% decrease is going into our programs to increase the uses of our programs, which went up 36%. Any questions?
Phil, would you, any comment?
Commissioner Fraley and I have been working with the finance team through the finance committee process now for probably a year. And what I can say to the group here, the commissioners, is that we're very happy with the progress that's been made in standardizing work and coming up with a system that's far more, that has greater transparency. I want to emphasize some of the things that have been done. That cycle, the process illustrated now is the representation of the standard work associated with the budget, the first slide. Most importantly, the goals that were outlined come from our strategic plan. So the budgeting process looks back to the strategic priority set that we put in place for defining the sources and uses that are within this budget. One of the other things I want to point out is that, or emphasize, is the Yardi implementation is going to be extremely important for us in creating a mechanism for ongoing forward oversight and streamlining things. The final thing, and I want to put some other emphasis. The previous fiscal years, the administrative expenses were a little over 27%, and now they're down to 18%. And that's a consequence of efforts to right-size and create a kind of a lean concept in how our organization is run, meaning that the dollars that are spent are now going more directly into serving the constituent groups that we are charged with representing, rather than simply running the agency to do that. And I applaud the executive director and all of the people that have been responsible through the finance process and human resource processes for these achievements. The final thing I'd like to comment on is this is now going to provide the Finance Committee with the financial framework to define or to establish what we've been looking for, and that is to create an ongoing dashboard of information that can be shared in a meaningful way with this group on an ongoing basis. So Commissioner Fraley and I are very happy with how this process has gone forward, and we, the Finance Committee, recommend that this body adopt this fiscal year 2026 budget.
Thank you, sir. Earl, anything you want to add? Ditto. I've learned the new structure of public speaking here now. Next time I'm speaking in public, I learned that you can have a last thing and then a final thing. So, all right. So we've heard the presentation by Demetria and our own colleague on the board here about our budget. At this point, I would entertain a motion to pass this resolution and adopt this budget.
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I so move.
All right.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Ms. Carnes, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fraley?
Aye.
Mr. Lewis?
Aye.
Ms. Mayo?
Aye.
Dr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Casagrande?
Aye.
Ms. Chudzinski? Mr. Conyers?
Aye.
Mr. Albert?
Aye. Very good. Thank you so much, Leah.
You're welcome.
Good work.
Thank you.
So Nathan, I wouldn't get up here and start telling everybody how great they were operating, so. But I gotta tell you, you're doing good work, Demetria.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we have our our audit presentation, and I'd like to ask each of you, I don't want to stifle your thoughts or input, but I did ask our finance team with Dr. Smith, if the questions kind of get too long and intense, if they would indulge the questions afterwards and make better sense of it for you, just to keep moving us along. We do have a reasonably robust closed session today, and I didn't want to run us too long. So with that, Nate, you
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. Today we have Don Jump with Jump & Associates. He is joining us virtually to go over the 2024 audit for Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority.
Thank you. Good morning. Everybody hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. So on April 15th, I made a presentation to the Finance Committee on the reporting package for June 30, 2024. So today I'd like to just try to go through it quickly. I understand you have time constraints, and it is 147 pages, so I'm obviously not going to go through the entire report. So I'm going to highlight or summarize those areas that I think are most important to the board. So just a quick overview. It starts out with the auditor's report on the financial statements, which is the most significant thing for me, followed by management discussion and analysis, which we'll get into in a few moments. Then your actual financial statements, including all of the various footnotes to the financial statements. Then again, the auditor's reports on compliance with your HUD programs. And then lastly, supplemental information, and that constitutes the entire reporting package. So if we look at the reports, the auditor reports, you really have two audits going on. You have the financial statement audit, which is, as said, an audit of the financial statements, and the opinion is unmodified on that, which is what you want, meaning that you complied. It's a clean, unmodified opinion. You also have compliance audit on major HUD programs, which I'll touch on in a few moments. And again, you had unmodified opinions, which is exactly what you want. The opinion on the financial statements basically is saying that your presentation of the financial statements of the authority does conform with U.S. generally accepted accounting principles. And that our opinion is based upon generally accepted auditing standards as well as governmental auditing standards, which require a few additional things. Also, that opinion lays out what the auditor's responsibilities are and what the responsibilities of the authority, including management as well as the board. And when we perform the audit, we're looking on a financial statement, we're looking for what our audit focus ought to be, what the risk ought to be. And generally speaking, the risk is always management override. And then there's other over or understatement of specific financial statement items, whether it be on your statement of net position or changes in net position. And here the audit focus areas were obviously the HUD grants, the leases receivable and related financial statement items to those, notes receivable, and then of course the pension and other post-employment benefit liabilities. MD&A, I mentioned that, management discussion and analysis. So as board members, that's probably one of the highlights of the entire package, because it's an overview of the financial statements in a summarized fashion, condensed, but it's an analysis of the changes year over year. So that's where management says, hey, this increased, this decreased, this is why, these are the reasons for it. So that's something that I think the board should focus on. The financial statements themselves, I'm not going to go into the details of them, but it's a strong financial statement. You have statement of net position consists of three different areas: invested in capital, which is your structure, sticks and bricks, etc., reduced by any liabilities you have associated with them, unrestricted net position, and then restricted net position. And in the statement of changes, you had an increase from operations of a little over 5 million, a total increase of 7 million, predominantly related to capital grants. And you did actually have a loss before capital grants because of some non-operating expenses, such as interest expense and a few other items. Then in terms of the footnotes, they're numerous. Some of them are pretty basic. Some of the more important ones are Note 1, which has listing all the component units, whether they're blended component units or discrete component units. And then in Note 1A through Note 1Z, it is what specific accounting policies has the authority adopted, and if there were options to adopt, what option was taken. And then notes receivable, Note 3, also I think is important. the pension and other post-employment benefit liabilities footnotes that are lengthy but significant. Leases receivable was something that was new 2 years ago, and then subscriptions footnote as well. In terms of the getting into the compliance type of reports, the government audited standards reports, first we look at internal control over financial reporting. So did you have any internal control deficiencies, any material weaknesses, any significant deficiencies? And through our work, we determined that you had none, which is obviously where you want to be. The other governmental report is compliance over those HUD programs. So we select each year what the major programs. So we don't look at every single program every year, but in the course of 2 years, we cover every program. So this year, our major programs were low rent public housing capital funds, and choice neighborhood grants. They totaled approximately 36 million compared to the total programs that you had of almost $90 million. You can see the significance of that. And again, we looked at the actual compliance with the various programs that we looked at, as well as internal control over compliance. So did you comply, and did you also have proper internal control set up so that you would comply? And there were no material weaknesses in internal control over compliance, and there were no significant deficiencies in internal control over compliance. So again, that's the report that you want. Go to the next. Okay, so there was a finding in the previous year when the major program was the housing choice voucher program, HAP payments, and that was we found one out of 40 samples selected that had an issue with the amount of the HAP payment was calculated incorrectly. This sounds trivial, but in a sample, you have to assume if you found 1 out of 40, there's more there. We recommended some things that you do to correct this issue, and management responded accordingly, and that's inside the report. The supplementary information is the last piece of the package, and that's pension information for multiple years, other post-employment benefit liability information for multiple years, and then lastly in that supplementary is the financial data schedule. Financial data schedule is an extreme blow-up of your financial statements, your statement of net position and changes to net position that HUD requires. So it's program by program, and then it has to be uplifted to the HUD REAC system, which is the real estate assessment center, and that has to obviously agree to your financial statements, and that's part of the audit that we do. Next to the last thing I'm going to talk about is just what this is additional required communication by the auditors. So the items in blue are the things that we are to discuss with you, and the black is what they are. So there were no the qualitative aspects of the accounting policies were fine. Difficulties encountered in the audit process. There was a little bit of timing due to staff changes, but we worked through that and got things done on time. There were no real corrected or uncorrected misstatements. No disagreements with management. Management representations were standard. There was no consultation by management with other accountants, and there were no other matters. Lastly, the very last thing I'll touch on is because some people want to see what's going on down the road. The Government Accounting Standards Board, what's new out there that might impact you in the future. So for fiscal year 25, there's 2 GASB statements. Neither one of them is going to really impact you to any significant degree. It's just some additional disclosures on your compensated absence liability, as well as some additional risk disclosures. And then for fiscal year 26, the financial reporting model for the MD&A has some changes. It just makes it a little bit more informative. It includes component unit aspects in there. Again, nothing that is going to be a difficulty for you. And capital assets, again, also is for fiscal year 26. And that's just some additional footnote disclosure on your capital assets. So That concludes my comments. Before I ask for questions, I just want to thank Dimitri and Demetria and Kashan and Chuck for all their help and hard work and getting this audit done and input on time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, comments?
Yes, Chairman.
Where are
If we
you?
could go back.
Oh, okay.
So if we could go back to the slide where it mentions 1 out of 40 HEP subsidies. Could
Yes.
you expound a little bit more on that and what was any projections or suggestions, if you will, moving forward?
That was last year too, just to,
Yeah, that was the
just to
prior
let
year.
you know,
But-
that was a finding last year, not this time. But go ahead,
Sure. So basically, you know, we do many compliance steps. One of the steps is to determine if the subsidy from HUD was calculated correctly or incorrectly, and that's based on a number of things. But you know, obviously the income of the individual, the size of the unit, what the charge ought to be, and then how much should be the HUD subsidy versus how much should be paid by the person. So 39 of them were calculated properly, 1 was not. And so there are, you know, significant number of these, and it has to be done at least on an annual basis. So one of our primary recommendation was, could you have, if not 100%, at least then on a sample basis, could you have a second person review that calculation to maybe reduce the possibility of incorrect calculation? And again, if you look at the dollar amount, it's included back in the section, your total reporting package on, I think it's pages 73 to 78 findings, and it just shows that it highlights the 23 finding. But it wasn't significant, but it's, you know, HUD's very strict on these kinds of things. If there's an error, we have to report it as an error. So that's really what it relates to.
thank you, Don.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, that was fairly straightforward. So don't anticipate, we don't have to take any action on this, do we, Nate? All right. Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
All right.
Take care then.
All right. Okay, next item on our agenda is our executive director, and not only is he coming forward, he's here. Body over here.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
First, I want to start out by thanking the board this morning in terms of voting on the FY26 budget and why it matters. I think Demetria did a really good job in terms of covering a lot of it, but it does reflect our commitment to the people that we serve and expanding those opportunities to both expand and preserve housing options. It really shows our willingness to invest in our residents, willing to invest in our HCV participants, as you see with our like our guest in the back of the room in terms of United Way and Boys and Girls Club and others. And so mobility is important for folks. I think that is really key. That is essential of what we are focused on in terms of expanding housing options, and that comes in a myriad of ways, whether it is expanding housing options on our existing public housing sites, working in the private market to expand those opportunities as well, to help make sure that people are prepared and ready to do so. So I think that is a very good thing. The right sizing piece, I think, of the agency, again, shows that we're really putting our money where our mouth is, right? So we're scaling in some ways, not necessarily back, but we're reprogramming those dollars so that we can advance forward. I think that's very much important. You see that. I pretty much, this 18 months this week, for me, this team has been on skates, and I'm unapologetic about it. And so because, real situations require real action. And so if we all agree that housing is an issue, and we do have a supply issue that is compounding a lot of things in the city of Norfolk, including affordability, then we should work at a pace with the strategy to be able to deliver to do so. So that's why we're committed to transforming our mid-rises and rehabbing that and accelerating those efforts as we go forward. So we're starting with Sykes and obviously Portraya. I've authorized Steve and his team to advance on both Hunter Square and Bobbitt, as well as with Franklin Arms as well, because again, we have existing residents, existing tenants, we have things that we have to be able to do around that. Long-term transformation, I think in terms of Young and Calvert, I think it makes a lot of sense in terms of what we're doing. And what I mean by that is our housing is old. It's old and needs to be replaced. But transformation, again, is not just about an opportunity to address the building. We've seen the results of just addressing a building and not addressing a person. And so what that looks like is you being in what we refer to as being private market ready, meaning that you're in a position to go where you want to go, not where you have to go. And I give everybody a good example. I used to work for HUD for a long time, and I told people the one thing I didn't like about being in the department is that people had to work with us, not that they wanted to. Economic mobility is the same way. You want to create options so that people can go places, not that they have to choose to be somewhere because there are no other options. And so working with individuals to be able to do that is important. It's a two-way street as well. We have programs. We wanted people to access those programs because we want them to be able to move forward to be able to do so. I would say too, in terms of the budget, beyond probably a roar that's going to probably flow through the building and through our organizations, it does reflect 4.5% cost of living adjustment, but it also reflects a competitive and equitable pay within our organization. We got a national study done to compare where we matched up. And so the results of that are filtered into this budget. What it also created, because this was another thing that I heard when I got here, was there is no progression. And so in FY26, we not only have equitable and competitive pay, but we're introducing levels of progression and promotion throughout the organization, right? We want to be able to retain talent and attract talent. And that is really what this budget encompasses. So I'm excited about that. Beyond that, there's a lot of different things that we have to do on the advocacy front. And so you'll see from me the pivot to much more, and thankful to Demetria and a lot of other people on our team that's in this room that have freed me up operationally to focus on the advocacy piece. So you'll see me start to continue to expand in talking about national, state, and local things that need to happen. I have a call tomorrow to talk about something on the state level. Again, going back to Commissioner Casagrande's point about the federal levels, we do have to diversify. We do. And so what I continue to tell people, which is really key, and unlike very many states across the country, is that while the federal level has its challenges, the state of Virginia has over $1 billion surplus. And so that $1 billion surplus can be used for a lot of different things to help unlock public housing sites, not just in terms of Young and Calvert, but Oak Leaf and Diggs, Grandy Village, other different communities that we can not only replace the housing, but we also can expand housing opportunities for folks across the city. The other part is continue, which is the strategic goal, which is continue investments in technology. Now you hear us talk about Yardi, and that's probably a heaven sent, but there are other things that we're going to incorporate to make everyone's experience, both internal and external, a lot easier. And that is where it should be. So whether it is helping somebody, again, come off the wait list or keep their wait list information updated, or their recertifications to be done electronically versus in paper. And so just asking questions about a lot of different things, I think just making it easier, not harder, is the way to go. I also say that we're going to continue to try to find other types of resources, both federal and non-federal. We're excited in terms of our CAP Fund Award. That's fine. We're excited in terms of having the FSS grant and a Ross Award. And the Ross Award, as I keep telling everybody, is the highest award for that round, tied with Chicago. So I'm not sure when Norfolk and Chicago will be in the same sentence, but I'm happy to say that we're in the same sentence in terms of that we have the highest award in the country. So those things matter in terms of figuring out different ways of getting things done and meeting the needs of the residents that we serve, because that is very much important. The other part too is that we're excited in terms of our involvement with the Mayor's Housing Commission. Why? Because we're a leader in this particular space, and we should be at the table as a result of that. Though we're in a staffing role, and that is a very important role as far as I'm concerned, we will be there to give both a local, regional, and national perspective in terms of how the city can address housing for all in the city of Norfolk. One final thing before I take questions is one thing we came back, we tackled last month was around information around St. Paul's. And so we talked about it a little bit. And so we're going to update our website, particularly around the St. Paul's section of our website, which is long overdue. That will give information, updated information in terms of transformation activities, meetings, even to the point in terms of a heat map and zip codes in terms of where everybody goes. And before we get into that, we're only required to track people on one move. So I just want to put that out there for sure. And so we will put where that information is on our website. And we'll work with the city to update their website as well. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions for our ED this morning?
Nathan, the Ross and FSS funds, how will they be deployed in our operations, and what are we anticipating will be a favorable outcome from the use of those funds?
So it all kind of goes hand in hand to some extent. So all of those funds float to client services. And so whether it is on the Ross grant in hiring resident specialists to help serve and connect people to various types of resources, both in our senior communities and our family communities. I think that's helpful. The FSS piece, and I cannot say this enough, we downplay FSS. Part of economic mobility and public housing is the FSS program, right? If you are concerned about advancing forward in this current environment and having to spend your resources, and the more you make, the more we take, if that makes sense, it freezes that. Right, and so that is something that we should all be playing up across the board in terms of that. But that again goes back to the financial literacy, the accounts that are set up to help people move forward and be more mobile. So I think that is it's a huge thing. But it's mainly on the client services side. It is geared mainly towards helping, assisting with folks moving forward and connecting to various resources.
Thank you.
No problem.
A question, Edie.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned the update of the website for the St. Paul's and working, I guess, in collaboration with the city to maybe give me a little bit more clarity on what that is and how you plan to coordinate with the city to update the website so that we can understand clearly how this collaboration is.
Sure. So there are two pieces to that. So one is the NRHA.us website, which is our homepage. And so there is a section particularly for St. Paul's as part of that tab. So updating that. And then the city has a St. Paul's website as well. And so just making sure, and that hasn't been updated in some time as well. So just making sure that there's coordination there in terms of that the information reflected is consistent and up to date. Is very much important. So we plan, we're starting on our end. We have a sit down with them coming up the week after next to talk about St. Paul's.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate
it. Departmental updates, we have Ms. Johnson, you coming back?
Good morning again.
Good morning again, Demetria.
As far as our finance updates, you can see that we've been working in the month of April to finalize our budget and bring it before you. That was our primary goal. Also, in finance, of course, with the implementation of Yardi coming up, the team has been working with the Yardi staff on training to get us prepared and ready. From a human resources standpoint, the HR staff is are testing the learning management system, the tool where employees can go in and choose topics that you would like to get trained on online. They are doing it, going in, selecting different classes and just seeing how the system works, and then it should be rolled out really soon. And Nathan touched on the compensation study that was done. We did it in a two-phase approach. Phase 1 is complete. Phase 2, we should be done with phase 2 by the end or mid-June. From an IT standpoint, of course, there's Yardi. There's where most of their focus is right now to get us to go live by July 1st. They installed cameras at Young Terrace where the receptionist can now see visitors that are standing out at the front doors. And then also when employees now log on to their computers, and I hope everyone noticed, when you log onto your computers, the first thing you see now is the intranet, thanks to IT and Leah. That keeps us engaged on the activities that's going on throughout the agency. From administrative services standpoint, you will notice some changes. Real estate is no longer on the 16th floor. They are now relocated to the 13th floor. And this was part of our reorganization with the teams to allow everyone to work together as a team. Real estate staff that was over at 910 are now over here at this building, and real estate takes up the entire 13th floor. Hope you're happy, Steve. You and your team. And also the property staff that was located at 910 for property management and HCV, they are now located on the 15th floor, or will be, I'm thinking the move is done, will be on the 15th floor with their staff as well. That's all the updates I have for now. Any questions?
Any questions for?
There's still people remaining over at 910 or?
The automotive staff.
Auto shop.
The auto shop will remain.
Just the auto shop?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good to see you all again. So just a couple of updates for property management. I know I stay in here every month to say that we remain steadfast on addressing all matters that's in property management, and we will continue to do that. Matters that impacts our families while we foster a environment of trust and accountability. One of the things that we do recognize within our communities, I just want to make a note that, you know, our families are important to us. And so our goal is always to meet our families where they are. And it's always our first and foremost goal. There are some challenges that faces our family, challenges from rent to other various items that do come up from time to time. As far as the rent is concerned, one of the things that we have offered, we've actually sent out our first letter to all the families that are facing rent challenges. And in that letter, it does offer the opportunity of repayment agreements. It offers hardship exemption, and also offer an opportunity to meet with our client service department, so that way they can have some other resources to rely upon. We have thus far, 30% of our families are working with our client services. There's a referral of 30% of our families working with client services at this time. And so that is very important to us. So we want to help them address those concerns, because as you've already heard before, during our transformation process, we want our families to understand that the goal is not just to displace them, but also to create a comfortable environment for them, home. So we are also still doing our refresh unit. Next month, I hope to have some pictures for you all so you can see what our refresh units look like. They are not our typical white walls unit with the VCT tile. So we are bringing the standards up a bit to give it more of a home feel. So I will be happy to share that information, those pictures with you on our next meeting. Yardi, you've heard about our Yardi. We are excited about our Yardi implementation because it does provide another avenue of our residents to be able to do things just a little bit easier from the comfort of their home. Our staff are in intense training. The training started on yesterday. They're in this intense training until Friday. So, and with this training, we will be able to assist our residents through the process and work alongside with client services. And so we are in a blackout period right now. So what that means is that during this blackout period is that there's a transitioning of information, data information between the two systems that we have, Yardi and Elite. But during this blackout period, it will allow us not to be able to pull up our resident ledgers, the things that we need to assist our residents. So I just want to make sure that everyone knew that and understood that. But the Yardi implementation is best used for us to streamline, our practice, to have best practices. Work orders. We continue to work on our work orders and be diligent in our work orders. Just in the month of April, we had 1,301 work orders opened. Of that, we have closed 1,045 of them. So that's pretty good for the month of April. That's really good for the month of April. So I'm proud of the maintenance team for just pushing and working through that process. But most of our work orders has to do with plumbing, of course, toilets backup and things of that nature. That's 40% of our work orders. But we will continue to work through that. Housing our families, of course, is always going to be of most importance to us. Just in the month of May, we housed 21 new families. That shows that, there's still a housing need and that we are working with the occupancy department to house our new families. Our occupancy rate stands right now at a 92%. Our goal, of course, will always be at the 96, but we will continue to push to that as we continue to work together collaboratively to get those houses leased. Our household waiting list exceeds 1,500,000 on the waiting list, so we have plenty of families there. And between the month of July and April, we have housed 192 families. So I take, as kudos to the occupancy staff and property management staff working together to make that happen. The last thing is that staff and training is always of importance to us, and it is an essential part of our growth. And so last month, you heard me talk about contracting with a third-party training consultant to come in and do an assessment of the property management staff, identifying what those needs are, providing training across the portfolio. This training will definitely include anything from customer service to rent calculation to all those other core competencies that are needed in order for us to provide the services that we need to our residents. Okay, any questions for me?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question specifically about Yardi.
Yes.
Can you remind us what the go-live date is for its implementation and access for clients?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
What is the go-live date for Yardi?
July 1st.
And at this point, what hurdles have you anticipated with those who are beginning to adopt it? And as a kind of a corollary to that, what are going to be your measures of success at it having been adopted by our clients?
So when you're asking what are is it from the team, the staff side or the resident? The
resident side.
Okay, so what we may expect, because it's a change, it's something brand new. And you have to understand that a large majority of our population may not be familiar with online services, particularly in our mid-rise, in our senior developments. And so the challenge that I expect there is that they're going to be a little hesitant to want to, to touch it. But we have our client service team that we're working with in the training now to kind of get them comfortable. So when Go Live does come into effect, that they will have some level of comfortability in this. But just like any online programs, any online, whether it's banking or whatever that is, you have to encourage and motivate people, residents, particularly our seniors again. And I say our seniors because a large majority is going to be our seniors that I see the challenges with. We will continue to train. We will continue to work with staff so that way they have a good understanding of how to utilize the system, because it's going to be new for us too, and new for a lot of our staff that has never touched Yardi before. Yardi and Elite are two different systems, but there's probably a little bit of similarity, very little similarity. How it's going to work for us is that it's going to help us streamline those processes. We'll know exactly what our work orders look like. We'll know exactly the recertifications that are outstanding that we need to address. We'll know all those things. It'll give you a snapshot of those things that we need to address up front.
So quantified elements of work orders, certifications, using the system for paying rent, those are going to be the metrics that you're going to be looking at to quantify how well this is being accepted?
Well, let's talk about one part at a time. Recertifications. The way we use our system right now is that we have what is called crystal report that we pull to identify our recertifications. And so with the Yardi, it will provide an upfront of the number of research that are maybe outstanding. Our research process starts 120 days in advance. We all know this, our staff knows this. However, at times, because of the busyness of the office, along with recertifications and everything else that has to take place, those things can sometimes become a back burner. But now, with the Yardi, just right there in front of you, you'll be able to see if you got 10 certs outstanding, because the goal is not to have any certs outstanding. So that's going to be the first thing. With rent collection, we'll be able to see right away if there is some residents that we need to deal with, and then we'll be able to have that real conversation with the resident, because it'll give us some real-time information, as with Elite, but more so in Yardi. The other thing with work orders, which is huge, it'll tell us right up front how many work orders that are outstanding, right at that moment. And then it'll allow us to have that real conversation with our maintenance team to say, hey, today you have 10 work orders that's outstanding. What are the challenges with that? Versus where in Elite, we have to go through a whole crystal system, another part of Elite system, just to try to figure out how many of those work orders are outstanding. We'll be able to see that right up front with Yardi.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
From that very nice response question, Ms. Fleming, I guess I would ask a general question related to Yardi and all of the things that it's going to provide for the agency overall. This question may be for, someone else, but do you have a timeline by which you would come back and maybe review how well Yardi is working across the agency, and kind of spell out or talk about what it's doing across the agency and for varying departments?
I think I'll let you answer from your perspective. I think there are a couple of different things folks should know. So while the go live date is July 1, we're going to be constantly implementing Yardi throughout the fiscal year 26. So there will be that. I think there will be some subtle changes that we'll be able to show, whether it's our reporting in our committee meetings or reporting in terms of the board meetings for sure. So you'll be able to see some noticeable differences right there. And I think one of the things we've talked about just collectively is trying to do some degrees of satisfaction, like resident satisfaction or external satisfaction around that as well. So I think just measuring to see how accurate our information is, how quickly are we responding. We have FY26 goals coming into play as well, and so that'll be something we'll be going over the board with probably, if not next month, then in July. So I think it's going to come up in a lot of different ways. I think
that'll be helpful to be able to say it's working or not. But, sadly enough, glad enough, but sadly enough, while July 1 symbolizes, I think, a really big piece for us, the rest of, there are still other modules and things that we'll be implementing over the course of the next fiscal year.
Thank you, Brenda.
Oh, you're welcome.
As Pamela's coming, I wanted to say to the staff, Nathan, NRHA is, used to be, and I think it still is, the largest public housing community, the largest housing authority in the state of Virginia. At one point, I guess we still are. Richmond was real close, but
real close, but
okay.
not quite. We still are.
And with the level of housing and problems and resources that have to be managed there, it's very easy for one segmented person to get overwhelmed, but they don't. They come with enthusiasm, they come with problem-solving skills, they come better this month than they did last month. They come with an attitude that, oh no, we can handle this, we can do this, and I really appreciate that. I served for a long time as the drug court administrator for the Norfolk Adult Drug Court. Matter of fact, my judge just got appointed to the Supreme Court, J.P. Fulton, and he was the judge I served. But I wanted to say, one of the things that the addiction specialists would say to some of our clients were progress, not perfection. And so nobody is allows the perfect to become the enemy of the good. They just keep moving along, solving problems, and getting it done. And I really appreciate that. You guys have been wrestling this thing and doing a very good job of managing. And I know there are problems. We serve people who, for the most part, a lot of them are settled in or in that position that they're not making as much income as some others. And so they live in public housing where they utilize resources that are available. But let's continue to fight to treat them with dignity and respect as we do. And as we move forward with the things that you do, remember that behind every one of those doors or forms or whatever, there's a body, sometimes a body of people that are dependent upon our services, and you guys are doing an outstanding job of getting it done. Just wanted to say that to you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
The rental assistance programs, we continue to promote affordable, decent, sanitary, and standard housing. And we stand as an advocate for safe housing for the city of Norfolk. Our ultimate and daily grind is to allow individuals to not be homeless and also to not to pay a large amount of their income towards their rent plus utilities. So daily, our occupancy departments complete weekly waitlist draws to determine the eligibility of those individuals that apply for housing. During their waitlist draws, and also to assist individuals that are referred to us from the COCs, as well as the state rental assistance program. During April, we had 28 waitlist draws, and the normal draw consists of pulling 100 individuals off of the wait list. Of course, 100 individuals do not always come to the appointments, but those that come, they are determined eligible for the program as far as their income status, criminal background, etc. Throughout that 100 people, so that were drawn, we conducted 15 briefings, and out of the 15 briefings during the month of April, occupancy sent a total of 30 referrals to our low-income public housing and PBV communities in April. We're currently accepting applications for former Tidewater Garden residents to apply for Unity Place at Kendrick, which is expected to begin leasing individuals early August. And right now, there was a question in the meeting from Commissioner Connors, and I had that information for you about the former Tidewater Gardens that have returned to the replacement unit. At Riverside Station, we have 12 former Tidewater Garden residents. At Reunion at Kindred, 13. Origin at Kindred, 32. Aspire, 15, for a total of 72 that have returned at this time thus far. And of course, we're anticipating a great deal more. We are in the HCV department, we continue to administer the program to the 4,000 people on the program, in addition to accepting port-ins. We get a large number of individuals from other cities and states that desire to port to Norfolk. We receive those referrals, brief the individuals, and assist them with being housed. For the HCV department, during the month of April, we did a total of 1,174 certifications, which were inclusive of annual re-exams, interim re-exams when people have changes in their income, transfer moves, and also putting people that have ported into our area on the program, as well as VASH. The HCV department received the VASH referrals from the Veterans Administration, and we are continuing to also receive port-ins of people that are VASH vouchers. We have an allocation of 168. We are aggressively seeking new landlords to lease their property to our program participants. We did have 14 new landlords in the month of April. We put out and send out email blasts. We go to various meetings with real estate boards, and we also put information and brochures in various community areas, the libraries, the coffee shops, recreation centers, as well, to actually market to get new landlords for our program. As Mrs. Fleming already indicated, we are preparing for the Yachty. We've gone through extensive training. We are training staff in-house twice a week to ensure that staff will be ready. We've also sent out notices to landlords, participants, and applicants of the new way of doing business with Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority. So we are excited about that. Additionally, we are preparing for HOPMA, which is HUD mandated, which will take place and start in July 1st. We sent out various information to individuals so that they can know what is coming up. We're excited. We're planning our landlord forum for June the 11th, which will be held at the Jordan Newby Anchor Branch Library at Broad Creek. And I will ask Jordan to send all of you a personal invitation. It will take place from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. We will have information on overviews of the HCV program, benefits of being a landlord, how rent is approved, as we are now using small area FMRs versus having a standard fair market rent for the city of Norfolk, which is very new for landlords. They are trying to adapt to it. This was a requirement that HUD placed on Norfolk Housing Authority. We're also going to share with them the upcoming changes with the Inspire inspections, which is also a HUD mandate that we will start within October 1st, and we're preparing for that at this time, as well as providing networking opportunities. We have guest speakers that are lined up from the Legal Aid Society, as well as a landlord. We've also, during the month of April, we sent out a letter, Mr. Lewis, Commissioner Lewis, to every person with zero income, letting them know that Norfolk Housing Authority Client Services Department is available to assist them in obtaining education, employment, and empowerment. We sent them a flyer of the actual programs that's available through Client Services, as well as the number to call and email of the individual so that they can contact if they are interested in any of those services. So we've been busy with the HCV. We continue to promote the program and also stay within HUD's guidelines for the program. Any questions?
Mentioned that when you get these people in for meetings, you you are assessing eligibility, then are we assessing eligibility before they go on the wait list?
Yes, not before they go on the wait list.
So they can be
Every-
on the wait list and be ineligible.
Correct. Every person has that opportunity to apply. So when they apply, there are questions that are asked when they apply through the portal as far as to determine the preference that they will qualify for. But that preference will have to be verified once they come in. So basically, they give their general information, their name, address, income, number of individuals in their family, whether they're disabled or not, whether they are a veteran, and that allows us to assess how we would draw them and pull them from the waiting list.
A couple more.
Okay.
Do we have stats on port-in numbers?
We do, and I do add it to my report every month. The section, it states that, so for April, we did have 5 port-ins, and we actually have 22 port-ins searching at this time. I'm sorry?
Those don't, excuse me, those don't impact our ability.
I can't hear the question, Commissioner.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Those don't impact our ability to serve our existing residents, do they?
It does not. However, we do serve those individuals without basic funding. They are added to our program. If there comes a time where our funding is at a lower level, we will have the opportunity to bill the housing authority where the individuals port in for. Because with portability, the housing authority can either administer and just bill that agency, and we would send them a bill. They would pay the housing authority every month for HAP paid for the housing authority, as well as administrative, 80% of their administrative fees for administering that port in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, you didn't get a package?
I've got it.
Okay.
So yes, you can see that every month. I'll just add that. It varies different months. Some months we could have 10, some months we could have 3, but we did have 5 for the month of April.
I have a question from Ms. Pam. Thank you for that updated information and the ongoing initiatives for the zero income participants. I would like to know if while zero income participants monthly need to certify that they are still zero income status, will Yachty help in any way to help with that certification process, or will that process continue, or is there a way of tracking through Yachty what will happen with the zero income participants?
They're probably, and we're still learning the program, so I just can't answer if there is a way of tracking, but right now we do have a report in Elite where we are able to track every person. So it would be in the same manner. We would just have to create a report of zero income persons within the Yachty system as we have in Elite.
And so on a monthly basis, that will remain the same in certification, or?
They do not have to come in as they used to.
Oh, okay.
They do not have to come in. We actually have created a extremely lengthy zero income certification form to determine if they do have other incomes that they haven't reported. We actually, if they have donations or people that give them ongoing income, we include that income stating it's a contribution, and they actually come off of our zero income rolls. So we do require that they complete that zero income certification, and we go through it, read it, and just even contact them, even if there's something that seems unreasonable to determine that they are actually zero income.
Because I thought they were still coming in and certifying.
No.
They certify from home now.
Through that zero income certification, yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Ms. Pam, I just want to say that one quick thing, this C&I resident tracking thing, the file that you have, it looks really good. I don't know if you guys, Nathan, you all freshened this up, but it's super concise. It has zip codes, where people are, as far as moving into our new units. If people are in project-based housing, like, this is really good. Is this something that we can kind of mimic and put on the website? Is this too much information? Is this intrusive a bit? But it looks really good. Like, I know where people are when I look at this file based on the tracking that you all have, all 617 people.
I mean, it's public information. I mean, the same information that's in your packet is the same information on our website for the board. So it's public. So I mean, it will mimic that in a lot of ways. I mean, I think when we get closer to it, and I know a bunch of people outside of me are working on that, so I don't want to speak to what it exactly looks like, but I know that our goal is to give as much concise information as possible.
Yeah, this looks good.
Thank you, Pamela.
Oh, you're welcome. Have a nice day, everyone.
Do the same.
Thank you.
Okay, development. Your turn to tell us all the big things that are happening.
First, actually, I want to mention that the information that we have this month on the Tidewater project, we've actually had that information in the board package prior. We do a regular update of that information. We did not have it the last couple of months because there was not new information. So we will update that regularly. As Dimitri noted, development, which includes design and construction management, real estate, and HomeNet, have all moved down to the 13th floor. I'm sure we'll have to have some open house at some point, but we're still, we only moved last week. We're looking pretty good down there, but we still have a lot of files and other work to straighten out first. But happy to host everybody at some point. I want to highlight some things. Terrion, you already noted, Commissioner, the information about Tidewater in the packet. We do have extensive information about all the units that are there, as well as the former Tidewater residents that have moved back. So I certainly, encourage everyone to go through that information. We developed a significant number of units already on site as part of the project. You can look outside the window. We have phase 1 complete. We also have 2 off-site properties, one Aspire, which is actually very nearby, as well as Riverside Station that's out at military area that have already been constructed and leased up. We just had a groundbreaking, and I'm going to thank Commissioner Miller for being at the groundbreaking last month on the 10th. Which kicked off another 191 units under construction. And as Pam noted, we are currently have the wait list open for Unity, which is the phase 2, which is another 140 units. Those are the 2 buildings that are under construction that you can see right outside the window. So there's a lot going on. The only phase that we do not have under construction is phase 4. We are in a gap closing on those projects, or I should say Bryn Shore, the developer is. We hope to have a closing later this year for one of the 3 developments that comprise phase 4, and then the other 2 closings next year. So significant work on there. The city, they've at 95% of the phase 1 infrastructure. They're just waiting for the last component of that for really when the whole project's done. They also have their phase 2 infrastructure well underway. And later this year, probably late summer, they'll be bidding the Blue Greenway, so all of the stormwater improvements that need to be done out there as part of the overall project. So this is a project that's fully underway construction-wise. It's been that way for a couple of years now, and we'll continue to update the board as we move forward. We're hoping maybe a ribbon cutting a little bit later this year, whether August or September. But certainly we'll also look to, as that the Unity buildings are complete, what we'd really like to do is set up a tour for commissioners to go out there and see some of the work. Also want to note HomeNet this month in a big way. They've had 51 closings this year, 24 specifically under the home program. We are, in effect, out of our home dollars. We have $35,000 remaining in that program. That's less than 1 case. We did receive another $240,000 from HRPDC, Hampton Roads Planning District Commission, HRPDC, which is allowing us to do a few more cases there. but we are getting into the new year. So the council just approved the new budget, so we'll receive some additional home funds. But what we're finding is the home funds that we will receive will be insufficient for certainly our goals and where we hope to be with promoting home ownership across the city. And so we'll continue to go and look after other sources, just as we did this year with HRPDC. HomeNet went viral this year. They just recently, in the last month, the program, I guess it hit the social media, and we got a flood of cases. They are processing, really over the past month, over 430 applications through the HomeNet program as a result of going viral. So it's a positive, because definitely getting the word out there, and it's a lot of work to go through that. Next, I just wanted to highlight Young and Calvert, the master planning. We are continue in that work. We had meetings again on April 30th and May 1st. April 30th at Calvert, May 1st at Young. And again, as I noted last month, these are a series of meetings that we're having with the residents out at the communities to get their feedback and input prior to the design workshops that are scheduled now for July 14th through the 17th. So that's a 4-day design workshop that we will be hosting the public in a grand way to work on the absolute design for the transformation of Young and Calvert. So we'll certainly have invites out, and we will welcome commissioners through the 4 days to come in. You don't have to be there at all times. You don't have to be there at all meetings. But the open house sessions, what they allow the public to do is to come in, look at the work, and influence the work. Also, coming up in the next month, we have had the master developer RFP, request for proposal, out on the street. That's closed. We've shortlisted, and we will be doing a public presentation sessions coming up on June 5th, 11th, and the 18th. Again, we'll get that information, the whole when and where, for the commissioners as well as the general public. And that is for the firms that have been shortlisted. They'll come in and do an initial public presentation, and anyone's welcome to attend. And then after that, we will be doing the interview sessions. With that, is there any questions that y'all have from the information that we provided in the packet? We did try to provide a pretty good update on Tidewater, including, again, a lot of the pretty photos of units that have been completed, as well as renderings of the work that's underway.
Photos are really pretty, Steve. I'm impressed. Let me ask you something about, in your report, you mentioned a modular home demonstration scheduled for Marshall at Bruce's Park.
Yes.
You got a timeline for that?
We do not have the timeline on that yet. We will definitely be updating the board a little more on that. We've run into a few difficulties on that, but we will be updating the board soon on that when we have a more definitive.
And are there other sites, lots, for lack of a better term, identified throughout the city that could be possible host sites for modular units?
We're actually, as part of the Moton development, we have applied for a grant for Virginia Housing. I hope to come back to you next month and give you more information on that. But in the Moton development, we've identified a combination of single-family houses and townhouses, and we thought it would be a very good demonstration to actually do the townhouses and do one. We have 4 blocks essentially of townhouses, 28 units. And we wanted to do a like-for-like build. So one side of the street would be modular and the other side of the street would be stick-built. So we've got that demonstration that we've ginned up. We've requested some funding from Virginia Housing through a grant program, and we're hoping to hear back soon on that, and that we can report to the board next month. But we are exactly looking for that other sites. Our whole intention with the modular demonstration was start small with a single family, and then move up and up and up. Our goal really for modular has been to get to multifamily, whether townhouses for home ownership or rental, and then also for actual rental units. The key being is that, as Nathan noted, we've got a lot of work, a lot of transformation that we need to do. And part of the work is cost is one thing, but time is actually also very important. And so we see modular as a way to increase or speed up the time that we're able to deliver affordable units.
Reveal Homes, I think is the name of the company that's been selected.
Yes.
Are they very active in the modular home industry nationally?
They are a small builder. They were active up in the Massachusetts area and have relocated here to Virginia. And so this is their first modular here in this area.
Now, Steve, you had given me some time ago now. We've had several, or at least one modular home already over in
Villa Heights.
Villa Heights.
We had
28th Street, I think it was.
Yes. There were 2 modular houses built there around 2006, 2007.
I'll just tell the board, I made a point to go by and look at those 2. And were it not for having known the addresses of them, you wouldn't know the difference. So the potentials are really fantastic based on just what I saw in that demonstration over in the Villa Heights area. So I'm anxious to see how this can be sped up and be a little bit more robust, if you will, because it could go quite a distance toward helping to alleviate that available housing circumstance, affordable housing circumstance we find ourselves in now. But I'd appreciate your updates on that as they come through, Steve. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Chairman? On May 2nd, the mayor, along with unanimous approval of the city council, established a commission to deal with housing, begin to address housing in Norfolk. What are any interface between this agency and this newly established commission in our development plans?
The Executive Director, Mr. Sims, noted that we are part of staff to that group.
They're going to have representation from organizations, a part of that group, and we'll be a part of it.
One of the, actually, as a follow-up to that, that was going to be one of my questions is, I'm aware of the establishment. I don't know, it's probably something I can see from the city if we don't have it, but I don't know, Nathan, if you've seen it or the chair, the vice chair, what the mission is of what the mayor's established. I saw in the paper it said that they were going to be researching, but I was just curious as to the extent. Once again, a question that doesn't need to be answered now, but I'd like to know, it's good to know we're interfacing with them, but I would like to know what its mission is going to be and how that is going to, excuse me, intersect with our mission. And so at some point we can have a chat about that just to make sure we understand.
Yeah, I actually spoke to him about that, and his comments to me were that one, NRHA or leadership would absolutely be a significant part of that. One of the things that he would like to do first, before making any additions to the board, is talk about what the operational structure would look like. And that's what he is trying to get his team to give some feedback on.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
I even talked to him about HRV, potentially providing some support to the Housing Trust Fund, just as a means of kind of continuing to invest in Norfolk. And but we also needed to know who was on that committee and on that task force, and what their goal is, other than just structuring themselves in to kind of solve some political, agenda. But he is, and he shared with me, he is very serious about trying to create some housing that meets every level of income, and not just trying to attract a high-income person back to the city, even though that's going to be a part of the mission. but creating affordable housing for people who there's not enough of that in the city. And so he said it was going to run the full gamut. So when they start to get more structure, I'll poke my head in and try to get more information.
That's what I just wanted to know where the intersection of
Yeah,
that Venn
yeah.
diagram is going to be.
But he assured me that NRHA or its leadership was an integral part of that, or would be. So.
Here, two other just quick comments. First, I would like to echo to Steve, thank you very much. I think that it was, you used the word robust earlier. I will repeat in a different context, the robust nature of what you had in the board packet. It did not just the pictures, though, of course, that makes it easier for me to read, so I appreciate it. But I do appreciate the effort and the amount of information provided. I'm a big fan of getting as much information as possible, particularly beforehand. So, Steve, thank you very much for that, you and everyone involved in that. And then very quickly, the second thing is as far as your move-in and the potential for having some sort of social get-together. I don't know if there was a microphone problem or something like that, but I am fairly certain I did hear the vice chair, Commissioner Conyers, offer to pay for that out of his own pocket. So I would like to thank the vice chair for that.
Well, the microphone problem.
And I will be there, and you do have my thanks for that, Vice Chairman, and I'm looking forward to it. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if it's appropriate, but we've been talking about the mayor's task force on housing, affordable housing. I really don't even know the name of it, but I have been approached by a member of council and asked to serve on that committee.
Sure.
Not knowing a great deal of detail at this point.
Real good.
But as I get more information, I'll be delighted to share with this board. My first question to them, to the council person was, look, I don't want to be in conflict with our role here on the BOC at NRHA. And I was assured that they were looking forward to having representation from NRHA BOC.
Absolutely.
So I will try to represent as best I can members of this commission, and if you have any concerns or questions, I'll be glad to carry forth on those. And as information gets clarified as to the role and goals and aspirations of that committee, I'll be, of course, delighted to share that with the BOC.
And I would say,
thank you, Commissioner.
Less about conflict and more about concert.
Right.
Mutual goals, and so that's very encouraging to hear that. Steve, thank you.
Thank you. Actually, just one other quick item.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were.
No, I was. But as I was going through my brain, there's so many different things.
Hey, Rusty.
No. Just for next month, just let the board know. Hopefully we'll be bringing back a number of items before the board. One will be we did receive our cap fund number from capital funds number from HUD. And so we have to come to the board for the resolution on that as part of the cap fund program. So we'll hopefully be back next month with that. We also have 2 Section 18 dispositions coming up. One would be for Moton Circle. There's still a few items that we have to get for that, but hopefully we'll have those resolved for the next meeting. And then also for Broad Creek, the long history. And thank you, Finance Committee and Development Committee, for listening in on or participating in those discussions, again, on the continuation saga of the Broad Creek conversion renovation project. Though hopefully next month we will be here for the Section 18 component of that, so that project can finally move forward now that we've got the HUD issues appear to be resolved. So that's it.
Thank you, sir. And we are client services.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I will be sharing time today with one of our partners.
Share your time with one of your partners.
Thank you so very much.
All right.
Also, just a couple of announcements that we have from the client services side. Former Commissioner Rose Marie Arrington lost her daughter, and the funeral services will be on Wednesday, next Wednesday. Next Wednesday. At Metropolitan Funeral. The funeral service will be next Wednesday at Metropolitan Funeral Services on Granby Street, and that will start at 11 o'clock. one of the things I like to say about Miss Arrington, she was a former resident of Diggstown, and she is dedicated to providing services still throughout our different communities. And I have to talk about her resiliency. I mean, she has taken on a lot in her years in taking care of people. So if anybody knows Rose Arrington, if you can think of one word, you can always think about that resiliency in which she continued to serve others and also just to pour out. And so that brings me into today when we're talking about the whole piece of service. As I look at some numbers that were told in terms of the referrals, the number of referrals that we're getting to client services, and I'm delighted to get those, and it can't work without partnership that we have throughout the city to make and to help us to get things to work well. And so as I think about Rose Arrington and the resiliency, as we get those different numbers, and we're charged to do so much more under our new leadership, that we're rolling, and we're excited to be rolling that way. And we cannot do it without partnerships. And that's why I'm sharing my time today with a new partner, not a new partner, a partner that we've had in the community that exemplifies that piece of resiliency and building our kids. So if somebody would ask me when we talk about, especially our kids, what organ of the body is most affected by circumstances that are due to social determinants of health, would anybody know what organ? I'm asking commissioners, what organ of the body affects most? And I see Commissioner Casagrande, he already knows. What is it?
The brain.
The brain. And so as we're looking at how we formulate our kids' mind, and they have to go through the daily, day-to-day grind of things that's happening with them, it's important that we have those resources available specifically to help with mental health. And we have a process that we use when we talk about mental health. If there's a critical incident that happens in our community, we try to respond as quick as we can, but sometimes those responses aren't as quick as they need to be because it's a collaboration with a lot of different entities. One of those entities that we receive is immediately from the client services side. We have to get the okay from safety and security. And they're the ones to let us know, hey, it's clear, you can go in and provide an engagement. And that's what we try to do. The other part to that is what we do is we work very closely with communications. So when that is all clear, we let communications know where there's an opportunity and where there are mental health professionals set up in that community where we can provide services to those clients. In addition to that, when that's over, we do what's called wellness checks. So not only do we check on the family member that may have actually been involved in that particular incident, but we want to know who else is in the household, if it's youth or other things. So that wellness check allows us to provide services to the entire family and also to the community. And some of those things are very sensitive and they can't always be shared. But I want you to know that we're doing everything possible to make sure that services are being rendered.
I have a very, very brief question. First of all, thank you for that, and I'm glad to hear that we have those services in place. But when you began speaking about it, you did say, I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact words, I'll paraphrase, something along the lines of, there's several hoops you have to jump through in order to get it moving, and sometimes it's not as quick as possible. Are there things that we, as commissioners or the authority itself, can do in order to streamline that process? Because I'm a very firm believer in, I don't know how else to say this. I'm a big advocate for children's mental health, and I have seen many examples of where a left turn could go take a child in one direction and a right turn in another, which sounds stupid when you say it like that, but the divergence in those roads can be the difference between someone we never see again and someone who turns out to be a wonderful human being. And the immediacy of being able to get those services sounds like it's a component in that process. And so going back to that beginning statement of having to work with others and it might not being fast enough, I'll repeat my question and then stop talking. Is there anything that we can do or anything that anyone else can do that perhaps we could use a cattle prod on them to get them to do it in order to expedite the process?
I understand and I hear what you're saying, and the references that one of the things that I was speaking of specifically too is that we can't move forward unless we're receiving confirmation that it's clear for us to go in.
Correct.
So when the city of Norfolk or police or anything else is involved, they're also involvement of what we call community services board. In addition to that, from our side, from our safety and security crew, they do a great job in letting us know it's safe for our staff to go in. So when we talk about jumping hoops, it's not a jumping hoop. It's more of making sure that the process is available.
Yeah, I should not have said it as in the process is improper. I'm just simply saying, can we get, I understand we need to do A, B, C, D. The question is can we do A, B, C, D? Can we get it done faster? And I'll leave it at that. It's something we can discuss later. If I don't want to hold up because I know we have a lot left and it's gone long, but that is something that I firmly believe in. And if we can make it faster while still doing it correctly, we should be doing something about that.
And what I'll do is make sure I get with safety and security to see if there's any way that we can speed the process up for safety reasons and confidentiality. And
Absolutely.
making sure the scene has been cleared. We normally wait until those things have been done. But I'm glad you mentioned that because that's something, and Karen is here, it's something we can look at too to see if we can expedite the services even quicker.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
And making sure it still remains safe. So
yeah.
Yes, we will look at that as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
My pleasure. In addition to that, when I said another comment, when the budget report was given today, and when the budget report was given, I don't know if they mentioned on Thursday of last week, we received another $300,000 for a safety and security grant, in which we're using specifically just to promote youth health and safety in the community. So we're very proud of that. And that particular grant would give us an opportunity to not only work with our youth, but also provides opportunity where we can engage our parents in the involvement of youth sports and team sports, because that gives them an opportunity, especially the parents, to be engaged in different ways. So we're excited about that. It's another way.
That's wonderful news.
Yeah, so it's another way to prevent, delay youth involvement in alcohol and other drugs, or it provides another protective factor for our youth. So I wanted to make that, and the piece that we'll lead piece. We're so happy to have different partners in our communities. As someone is making his way up today, as Kevin is making his way up today, I want to also state that if you look in the back, we also have United Way in. So those are the different partnerships. As you see all the different referrals that are made to client services, I can't talk enough about the different partnerships that we're forging so that we can actually provide the services that's needed to our clients. So when you heard about the Ross grant, the family self-sufficiency grants, those grants provide us the opportunity where we can put services in place to help those who are unemployed, underemployed, people who are looking for training programs, from apprenticeship programs to educational programs. It helps us and assists us with programs that we need in our community for Boys and Girls Club, United Way, food banks. We have a lot of services that are being provided. We literally if you look in our impact report that you received, roughly about 11,000 people were serviced in the month of April, from food services to senior services, transportation services. So we're touching a lot of different people. So from Boys and Girls Club, this is Kevin. I have to tell you this. Yesterday, Kevin's group had a award ceremony. Their award ceremony started at 8 o'clock in the morning, and for people who could work. And it presented Norfolk Redevelopment and with a plaque about our partnership award. And when he stood up, Kevin is a hugger. I don't know, so I'm making sure I stay away from him. Kevin is a hugger. Kevin is a hugger. So when I walked up to the stage, Kevin literally jumped, jumped to give me a hug, and he said, "Hey, I'm a hugger." So this is Kevin. I'm gonna shake your hand this time. So this is Kevin. And
I'll have to put this down. He's so tall, it was very awkward. But we really value our partnership with NRHA. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Yeah, really excited to be here. Not only that, we recognized, our donors, our volunteers, and the staff that have been there for so long and love their time at the Boys and Girls Club and love what they do. And we couldn't do that without partnerships. So hopefully we sent Ms. Bird a video that she disseminated that really highlighted our partnership. Not only, is it great to have a partnership with NRHA, it's United Way plays a part in what we do. It's the principals of the schools that we serve and we work with on academic success, and the parents and the children that come to our clubs every day. So in addition to that, so many volunteers throughout the community that come in to enhance the programs we're always doing. It really does take a village, and we couldn't do it without the community. So we're really excited to serve. I know I only have 3 minutes, right? So, and that video was like 7, so I apologize for that, but there are a lot of partnerships that get in there. So I don't know if we can go back, but I wanted to give some statistics, maybe 2 slides back. Yes, here are some statistics. Since our opening, 225 club members, registered members, have attended either Grandy Village or Young's Terrace, where we serve. Since October 24, we've served over 10,000 meals and snacks. Over 98% of our club members feel safe when they're attending the club. Over 90% of the club members feel like they can talk to their staff about their problems. And over 97% of our clubs enjoy programs and field trips that we provide. So I've been on my soapbox since I've been at Boys and Girls Club that we're much more than a gym. We do have fun. We do play basketball. We do have video games. But these are just some of the programs that we provide throughout the year with our kids that center around our 3 pillars, which are academic success, good character and citizenship, and healthy lifestyles. And you talk about mental health. We are a trauma-informed organization, so each member, including me, go through a training process on how to be trauma-informed and how to get those kids and those families the help they need. So these are our programs that they get to participate throughout the year. And then lastly, in my 3 minutes, I want to talk about above and beyond what we provide, not just programs, not just a safe place. Yes, we are safe. We do our own internal and external safety audits on each club that we serve. But if we can go to the next slide, it's about what we do above and beyond just the programs and the day-to-day fun that they have at the club. These are just some of the career exploration presentations that we've had come into the clubs, whether it's careers in broadcasting with Channel 13. We've had Jalen Holmes from the NFL come in. We've had PETA do a program called Ellie the Elephant. We've had both the Tides and the Admirals come, not only to play wiffle ball and floor hockey with the kids, but take us all to the game so they can experience that. I mean, I could go through all of them. Our partnership with the police department, who not only came in to talk about that relationship, but also brought equipment to make the centers a skating center. So they did roller skating with the kids, really fun. Fire department, I'm not going to go through all of them, but really kind of fun things that they get to and explore careers throughout the area. And then we also do a lot of tours, not only colleges and universities, but also companies in the area that they can have a career at, whether that's the trades, right? That's a great career. We want them to leave with a plan, not only to go to post-secondary education, but if they don't want to do that, then let's give you a career and not just a job you have to work every day. So we really want to expose them to all of that. And it's just been a blessing. The team at NRHA has been awesome. Julia, Corey, anytime that we need to talk, either way, the phone's always there. We have bi-weekly meetings on updates on what's going on at the clubs. And then I'll have to say, Mr. Sims just coming into the area, and I don't think you can play the new card anymore. But you really did hit the ground running. And we've had some really great meetings with myself, Mr. Sims, Mark from United Way, Sean Avery from the Workforce Council, on how we can all continue to work together to provide programs and really uplift the community. So I'll have to give you kudos for that.
Thank you, Kevin.
Sure.
And two other things is that the Boys and Girls Club Southampton Rose is located in 2 sites, Grander Village and also in Young. I'll mention Biggs in a second, but yes.
Yep. We have 9 clubs in our footprint throughout Hampton Roads. And I recognize some of you from the grand opening. We just had 2-year celebrations at Young's Terrace with cotton candy, bounce houses, and they're really excited about the clubs. Love coming every day.
Awesome.
Thank you. I want to say one thing real quick while you're up here, Kevin. Thank you for all you do. I grew up in the Boys and Girls Club in Diggstown, so I appreciate everything you guys do. One of the things I did want to say, we've been hearing about the budget, Julius. You got an FSS grant, you got a Ross grant, you got $300,000. Sounds like you're the man with the money in 2026. With that being said,
said not enough.
Yeah.
Said not enough.
But with that being said, right, one of the things that I want to just kind of put on record that I've been thinking about and talking about with the New Virginia majority as well too is summer jobs, right? Like, how do we get back to some form of communication around that with the summer coming and opportunities? Like, how do we formulate and create some things for kids to be able to do something productive during the summer hours, during the summer times, and create some synergy around that, right? Some growth in that. Like, what do we need? What are the barriers to that? How do we put that together? Because I think that was very important when I was growing up, and I think it still is, but I'm just not sure, the communication and stuff around that.
That's extremely important. And one of the things that we do for summer employment, we do partner with the city of Norfolk with their NAIL program, Norfolk Emerging Leaders. The thing about that particular program, we partner with the city of Norfolk's NAIL program, Norfolk Emerging Leaders. They advertise for their summer employment beginning in December. So we have to, and what we do literally is we go to the communities and set up in recreation centers, boys and girls clubs, family investment centers, and we begin signing kids up there. But we just don't stop there. We're also in the schools where we go to our feeder schools and we begin to sign kids up for summer employment. But that starts in December. They advertise it in December. It is off their media page the 1st of February. So we have to do a large part in terms of getting our kids to apply for those opportunities. Because if they're not on that list by February, then there's no other opportunities. In addition to that, they only start their employment when the kids turn age 16. But we have a youth service person assigned specifically in working with signing those kids up. This is the other part that comes with that. Once the kid signs up for summer employment through the city of Norfolk, that's 16 to 24 actually, but 16 to 18-year-old for regular summer employment. Once that kid signs up, we no longer have any input of what's happening, meaning that everything is done then by contact through their emails. So it's a responsibility of that kid at that point to make sure they keep their emails up and keep going. We try to intervene in a lot of that, and we do a lot in terms of on our end, just keeping the kids to encourage to stay up to date with it. They no longer do paper. They don't contact us directly with that. They contact the kid and their family specifically with those opportunities. In addition to that, that can be a challenge, but we also have what we call is the pre-employment opportunities, where we have kids between the ages of 13 to 15 who are too young to work, and we actually put them in a youth work experience program where those kids at the end of the summer actually receive a stipend. So we work with different partners in order to provide that stipend funding for that. So who helps provide that? We're very grateful for Hampton Roads Ventures, African American Male Focus, Renaissance, and some other partners who will actually help us in paying stipend to kids who are too young to actually go and work in the city. So that's a huge piece in terms of when you're talking about employment opportunities. So it's a lot of things that go hand in hand. So that's why we try to make sure there's other opportunities available for them as well.
Very quick, I have a question. You can answer it. We can offline later. I'm old now, so maybe the law has changed, but I started working when I was 13 years old. Had to get a work permit. And I vaguely, I mean, it was 47 decades ago, but I vaguely remember the process of doing that, getting the work permit, filling it out properly, getting it. I needed help. I ended up having a teacher in my high school who helped me go through that process. Is there anything that we are doing, we can do, we may be able to do in order to help those children who are between that 13 and 16 age? I understand. I think it's great what you've already talked about, what we're doing, but and like I said, unless something's changed, you can work when you're 13 years old, 14 years old, 15 years old. But I do recall that process of getting that permit being a little bit tough, and might be something we could help facilitate. So something just to think about, and maybe we can just talk offline about it. But I would love to be able to. I think Terrion's point is excellent, but I would not want us to limit to 16-year-olds if we have the capability and there's opportunity for us to interface to assist those that are 13, 14, 15 in order to get an actual job and make actual money and possibly help out their families, learn new skills, etc.
I heard that, and we will discuss that offline, but one of the things I do want to reiterate, it's not as difficult as you may think to get that work permit.
I might just have been dumb, so that's okay.
No, it's not. You were not, but it's not difficult. Norfolk Public Schools will issue that if the employer is willing to hire that kid. It's just simply just taking them up there and they will receive it.
Do the kids know? Well, that's the kinds of things we want. We can talk about it offline, but
we can. We'll talk about that, and we'll keep that engaged.
Something that we can work with the experts, right? The Hampton Roads Workforce Council. And
that's great.
Be the chair of the youth division. That would be it would be a great thing to take to them to say, how do you help us and how do you help our kids get those paid internships and first jobs?
Yeah, I would love us to dig into that further and have some like reporting on that. Even if it's not this year, we can't do anything, but going forward, that's something that I'm pretty interested in. I think it's very important for the community.
I second that motion.
Sure.
And Mr. Norman, also, the city, for those slots, do you know the number for those employment slots that start? Because that comes out from the city as citywide. And how many, if you remember, a number of our residents were able to get in those slots? Because it's a limited number that's citywide when that comes out, correct?
It is from the, with the NAIL program, it is. I can get you specifically that number because Tashana Thorne works directly with Ashley Jones, who with the city of Norfolk, who runs the program. So I could get you that exact number.
You're saying it's two numbers I think I'm asking. How many of the slots are given from the city, and how many slots have our residents in the past, even how many this year were able to take advantage of that opportunity?
And I will be able to get you that number from Tashana Thorne for both, how many was hired for this year and how many the city actually were offering for the year throughout the city. Tashana Thorne works with Ashley Jones, who runs that particular program, and I can get that number for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sirs.
And the last thing we talked about Rosemarie Arrington. Rosemarie Arrington, as we're looking at the Boys and Girls Club over in Diggstown, we're looking at that facility to be the Rosemarie Arrington Resilience Center. So you'll get more information coming forth on that. And in your report, the last thing that you had on the report for upcoming events on June 12th, we just haven't advertised that we're doing invites only. On June 12th, Mike Vick will actually do a flag football summer clinic for us at the Southside STEM Academy. for roughly about 250 kids, and it would be held once again at the field at Southside STEM Academy for youth between the ages of 6 to 17.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Nathan, do we have a budget to maybe send a spray and a nice card to Rose's daughter's funeral? If not, we can get together. I'll pay for it.
We'll check it.
Okay. Okay, we're at a point that we're at our closed session point, I believe. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We have commissioners' reports and committee reports.
No, you got Leah. Yeah, Leah.
Oh, Leah, that's right. Yeah.
I'm happy to.
No. We need to. So, Leah, June 14th.
Okay.
It's when we're going to have that first session that I told you I want.
Yes. Okay.
At Young's.
Okay.
Somewhere between 5 to 7 and 6 to 8, somewhere like that.
Okay.
That's the day before Father's Day, and I spoke to Brenda already. She's gonna try to get the facility.
My Father's Day, like.
Okay.
And we need, if you can put any kind of information in the community.
Okay.
You know, come and
Town hall
voice your
type.
concerns.
Okay.
And share with Commissioner Albert, you know, any concerns or thoughts you have.
Gotcha.
Have a dialogue. Let's say that.
Okay. Can I give you a call just to get some more details about
Absolutely.
it? Okay, we'll do.
You got my number? I'll give it to you.
Okay. 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 Good morning. Still in morning. Okay. Just a few brief updates from the Department of Communications. We'll start with media relations. Shout out, and Steve mentioned this as well. We shout out to the Black Millionaires on Instagram. Our post that they put up about the HomeNet program went viral. And considering that viral means 100,000 likes or types of engagement, we're super excited about that. So the post went viral last month, April 17th. The good thing about it, it went viral. Obviously, that's a good thing. Sort of randomly, but not randomly. What wasn't random though was the way that we were able to steward the opportunity. So we started getting calls from the media for interviews about the program, was able to connect with LaShawn Forts, shout out to her and her team. And we actually got primetime interviews on all 3 stations, WVEC, WTKR, and 13 News. So we partnered with LaShawn and she was able to, even on vacation, she was able to do the interviews from home. And she also helped us to highlight 2 people who have been through the program. So that was a big deal for us as far as positive media is concerned, obviously. And Steve mentioned that the numbers have just doubled inquiries that they received. And in your packet, in your board packet, you'll see just some screenshots of some other places that picked up the news as well. So excited to report that we were able to again just steward that opportunity. When we got requests, we were able to make sure that we had people on tap to be able to be interviewed and to continue to spread the positive narrative of NRHA. I'll go briefly to additions to our website, nrha.us, which I know you all visit weekly. Yes, I can see it in your faces. You visit the website weekly, so you know everything that we have going on. Excellent. So we had a lot of actually additions for the month of April. Shout out to our new communications manager in the back, Daryl Cuenca, who has been cranking out stories and telling our story. That's hallelujah in sign language. Very excited that he's here. So you'll see some stories that we had. We had a story partnered with Julius and his team and got information about a student at Maury High School who was awarded a $20,000 scholarship, E.L. Ham and NRHA. So was excited to, to get that information, put that out there. Also have a story on the site about May Days. So talking about our partnership with United Way and seeing us out in those communities and having physical presence in our public housing communities. You'll also see a story on our website about mental health awareness, our mental health partnerships that we have that have been talked about. And May is actually Mental Health Awareness Month. So we were right on time and right on task with publicizing those. You'll also notice, as Demetria mentioned, that when you go to the website, that our intranet is the first thing that pops up. Again, shout out to our new communications manager, Daryl, who is keeping that information updated. He's also makes a mean flyer. So he's serving a dual role in the Department of Communications. So I encourage the commissioners as well as everybody at NRHA to continue to go on that site and make sure that you're updated about what's going on in the community and actually what's going on internally. As far as payroll and going straight across the HR, anything that you need, anything that's current going on in the company, you can find it there. Lastly, for some upcoming things we have, regarding our website, and Nathan mentioned this to some degree as well, we'll be adding a tab on our website under the client services page called Norfolk Thriving Families, and that's going to be where we highlight the Thriving Families initiative that we're working on, obviously with United Way. So that'll be a front-facing opportunity for everybody to go and click and find out all of the things that are available through the program, what the program means, where actual navigators are in those communities. So we're working on getting that update on the website. And lastly, Nathan mentioned this as well, the St. Paul's Area Transformation page. We're doing a complete refresh and overhaul of that page. Already spoke with the company who hosts our website. And so Daryl and I did a deep dive on the website yesterday, and we're culling all the information that's going to be needed so that we can hand that over in a nice little package to our tech team and have them refresh it with pictures, have them refresh it with, current faculty and staff that people can reach out to when they have questions about St. Paul's, and just all of the hot ticket and hotspot information that people will need to stay updated internally and externally about the site. And we were told with regard to a timeline that once we give them the information, it could be possibly a 2-day turnaround. So by the time I come back to this spot next month, I should be able to send you to that page for a full breakdown. I hope I'm not jinxing myself, but that's what we're working towards. Any questions for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Earlier this morning, Mr. Morales gave us a nice readout on returnees, those who came back, former
Tidewater residents. Okay.
Is that information on our website?
Yes, and that's something that we can continue to update as well, and we'll make sure it's in more than one place.
Yeah.
Okay.
I say that because broad public, I think, questioning.
Sure. Okay.
So the more we can get that information out there, I think the more we are able to quell out this use and distrust.
Sure. Okay.
This broadcast well accomplishments.
Okay. Other questions from me? Okay, thank you. Mhm.
I think one. All right, Charles.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, we are now at the point of,
I have not.
I don't think we have any committee updates beyond what we've already referenced here as it relates to the budget and the audit.
Amy?
May I request that unless there's something critical to update, that perhaps we take this to the next time, just because we are bumping up on a time limit here.
All right, so that brings us to
Mine's not boiling over, it can be tabled. Mine is not boiling over, it can be tabled.
Okay. I haven't pushed it, I'm sorry. I'm undisciplined over here. We're at our point of closed session now. And so let's, while we get it in some kind of order, let's go ahead and, do we go in before we don't have to, we make the resolution before we go to the restroom?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Would you like me to?
Somebody's got a destination.
We'll read it expeditiously.
Once we make the resolution, then we'll take 5 minutes to get ourselves
Okay.
back.
Resolution convening a closed meeting on May 15, 2025. Be it resolved that the authority will convene in a closed meeting pursuant to the Virginia Freedom of Information Act as amended to discuss the following matters which are specifically exempted from public disclosure by the code sections referred to below. Number one, personnel matters involving the assignment, appointment, promotion, demotion, performance, salaries, or resignation of employees of the authority as authorized by Section 2.2-3711A1 of the Act. Number two, discussion and consideration of the disposition of publicly held real property as authorized by Section 2.2-3711A3 of the Act. And number three, consultation with the authority's legal counsel regarding actual or probable litigation and legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by counsel as authorized by Section 2.2-3711A7 of the Act. May I have a motion, please? A second? Second. Thank you.
We have a motion?
We do.
Thank God.
We have a motion by Mr. Casagrande, seconded by Ms. Chudzinski, and
All
I'll
right.
call the roll. Mr. Fraley?
Aye.
Mr. Lewis?
Aye.
Ms. Mayo?
Aye.
Dr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Casagrande?
Aye.
Ms. Chudzinski? Aye. Mr. Conyers?
Aye.
Mr. Albert?
Let's take a quick 5-minute break and get back so we can get these issues. You can see it's long. They told me, Delphine, at our meeting, Earl told me, he said, I don't recall Delphine reading that long. Minutes, guys, if you got a bathroom break.
I didn't know.
They do. They want.